Hello everybody! Today we're going to learn about the Big Six, what it is, and how it can help you in your research project. As you know, I'm Miss Trish and I work in the library and you'll be working with me on this research project and your teacher. I want to show you what the Big Six is, how it can help you in the research project. So let's start with what the Big Six is. You can think of it as a roadmap that guides you through the research process, and it also will help you think about research in terms of specific skills that you can practice and get better at. It will give you key questions to ask at each stage of the research process, and in the lesson you'll also get some helpful resources that will guide you as you do your research. So as teachers, we use standards to guide instruction and learning, and the Big Six helps you meet many of those standards. So we're going to look at a few of those before we get started, and the first of these are the IB standards. The Big Six meets several of the IB standards. It meets the learning profile characteristics of being a thinker and being open-minded, because when you do research, you have to look at different perspectives and consider them. It helps with approaches to learning because you really have to think critically when you're doing research, and that can seem a little abstract, but we're going to make that more concrete as we go through the Big Six steps. And it also meets the INS Assessment Criterion B, which is about developing systematic research skills in humanities and social studies. It meets the Common Core standard here for literacy, which talks about delineating and evaluating arguments and claims in texts and their validity and relevance. We're going to help break that down a little bit as we talk about Big Six. It also meets the ISTE Standard 3B, which is about evaluating accuracy, perspective, credibility, and relevance of information and data, which is something you do as you research. And finally, it meets the American Association of School Libraries standard, which specifies that you should be able to formulate questions about an interest or topic that you have. So you can think about this as we go through the lesson and consider whether you know how to do those things as you practice these research skills. So what is the Big Six? The Big Six is a way to think about the research process. It outlines both the steps in the process and the skills you can develop and use as you go through that process. And even though it's set up in terms of steps, I want you to think about how these steps go together. You don't just do them one at a time. So thinking about the research process in this way helps you really break down research into more understandable steps and make research less intimidating, and helps you as you approach your research. So the next step in our process is for you to take a pre-assessment. We want to know what you think about research, what do you already know, and so I've created a Google form which you can access on the Blend space. And of course, this is not graded, but it's designed just to help you, your teacher, and me see what you know now, and also gauge how much you learn in the lesson. So, what are we going to do? What did I tell you today? We're talked about what the Big Six is and how it helps you think about research process and research skills, and how Big Six can help you understand the process so you become a better researcher and have better skills through practice. And we also discussed how these steps don't necessarily happen one at a time, but you combine in your thinking several of the steps at each point in your research process. And we talked about how you're going to get resources and support for your research project. So I'm looking forward to it. Take that pre-assessment, and then we will get back together and talk more about Big Six and your projects. Thanks.